Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. One of the men behind Donald Trump's attempted coup is facing justice tonight. Serious repercussions. Former Trump White House advisor Peter Navarro has been found guilty on 2 counts of criminal contempt of Congress by a jury of his peers. Navarro was subpoenaed by the House January 6 committee back in February of last year, like hundreds of others. Committee investigators were seeking testimony and documents related to his involvement in Trump's attempted coup, specifically charges that Navarro, quote, reportedly worked with Steve Bannon and others to develop and implement a plan to delay Congress's certification of and ultimately change the outcome of the 2020 election. And just to be clear here, it's not like Navarro was hiding his involvement in the coup. He self-published this document full of bogus claims of election fraud that he called the Navarro Report, in case anyone wanted to know who wrote it. He wrote about the coup in his book, including his signature political strategy to overturn the election, which he called the Green Bay Sweep, reference to an old football play. Navarro went on the record with the Daily Beast to talk about his role in the coup, and he appeared on this very network multiple times to discuss the coup with Ari Melber.
We had over 100 congressmen and senators on Capitol Hill ready to implement the sweep. The sweep was simply that. We were going to challenge the results of the election in the 6 battleground states. If the votes were sent back to those battleground states and looked at again, that there would be enough concern amongst the legislatures that most or all of those states would decertify the election.
Do you realize you are describing a coup?
No, I totally reject many of your premises there.
Ari, it's like a naked bootleg, but for ending the American experiment. So it's not like Peter Navarro wasn't willing to talk about the coup. He just wouldn't talk about it with one group of people, the January 6th committee, even though, as former committee chair Liz Cheney pointed out, plenty of other Trump allies defied their work while still complying with a lawful subpoena.
Roger Stone took the 5th. General Michael Flynn took the 5th. John Eastman took the 5th. Others, like Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro, simply refused to comply with lawful subpoenas, and they have been indicted.
Steve Bannon was also convicted of contempt of Congress last year for doing the same thing. And I can't help but ask, is this one of the stupidest, most pointless crimes ever committed by anyone? Even if Navarro wanted to obstruct the investigation, he could have just hired a lawyer for the week, pleaded the 5th to every question. He'd be well within his constitutional rights to do so. Others did it. And now he wouldn't be facing prison time. Because even as Navarro pledges to appeal, this was obviously such an open and shut case. The trial only lasted about 2 days. The jury only deliberated for a few hours. Probably a few hours too long, actually. And when NBC asked Navarro's lawyer why he did not call any witnesses to defend his client, he replied, and I quote him here, "What defense do I have?"